Welcome to The Explainer. We spend a lot of time talking about the games we play, but what about what we play them on? Today, we're going to dig into a core idea that's super important but often gets overlooked. The hardware you play on is just as vital as the game itself. We'll explore how the physical machine, whether it's a console, a PC, or your phone, really defines the very nature of the games we love.
So, how much does the machine you're using really matter? Well, it turns out a ton. A game isn't just a concept floating in the ether, it's an idea that's specifically designed for a platform. And that's about way more than just raw processing power. It's about who's buying the machine, where they're using it, and how they're physically interacting with it.
All right, here's our game plan for this explainer. We'll start with that big idea, how the machine defines the game. Then we'll take a tour through the distinct worlds of the living room console, the personal computer, and of course, gaming on the go. And we'll wrap it all up with a look at how you might choose your platform. Each one has its own rules, its own strengths, and its own limitations. So before we jump into the specifics, let's just lock in this core idea. When you look at a gaming machine, its most important features aren't always the specs on the box. It's more about who's buying it and, most importantly, how they use it. That context is absolutely everything. Just think about it. The simple fact of where you are when you play, are you kicked back on the couch, leaned in at a desk, on a bus? That physical setup plays this huge role in shaping what kind of game even makes sense for that device. The environment really does dictate the experience. Okay, let's see how this plays out in the real world. We'll start with our first category, the classic home console. This is a device that was from the very beginning born and bred for the social space of the living room. And that living room setup really changes everything. Because you're typically on a couch, maybe 3, maybe 10 feet away from the screen, games need big, bold graphics just to be readable. This environment is absolutely perfect for a local multiplayer, a heated match of a sports game or a chaotic round of a party game. The whole thing is a social machine by design. And this brings us to the business model. Consoles are what we call closed systems. You see, manufacturers like Sony and Microsoft basically act as gatekeepers. They want to protect their brand, so they curate all the content. That means if you're a developer, you need to get a license and get your game approved just to get it on the platform. Now, in complete contrast to the console's walled garden, you've got the personal computer. This is a platform that's defined by its freedom. It's traditionally a more solitary, deeply immersive kind of experience. Yeah, the PC experience is it's so personal. You're sitting inches away from a high-res screen, and that allows for all these intricate details and complex interfaces that would just get lost on a TV across the room. And the controls? The mouse and keyboard give you this level of pixel-perfect precision that's absolutely essential for competitive shooters or managing huge armies in a strategy game. And this, right here, is probably the single most important difference. On a PC, a developer doesn't need to ask for anyone's permission to create and release a game. That openness is the real engine of innovation and wild experimentation in the PC gaming world. So this slide really puts the two philosophies head-to-head. On one side, you have the console's control, which in theory ensures a certain standard of quality. On the other, you have the PC's total freedom, which allows for some crazy creativity and brand new ideas. It's this fundamental trade-off between control and freedom that defines game development on these platforms. Okay, let's move on to our third category, portable devices. Now, this is a world where convenience is king, but that convenience introduces a whole new set of very specific and very tricky design challenges. Yeah, portable gaming is a world of constraints. As a developer, you're always worried about battery life. You have to assume the sound will be off in public, and the game could be interrupted by a phone call at any second. This forces developers to create games built for these quick, satisfying sessions that you can fit into a few spare minutes while waiting for the bus. And that open versus closed debate we were just having, it doesn't stop with PCs and consoles. We see the exact same thing in the mobile space. Apple's App Store is a classic walled garden, right? It's a curated space where they control what's available. Android, on the other hand, is much more like an open market, allowing users to install software from pretty much anywhere. This choice fundamentally changes how developers get their games to you. So, after touring this really diverse landscape, how do we pull it all together? Let's take a minute to summarize the key trade-offs and what makes each of these platforms so unique. This table gives us a really powerful at-a-glance summary. Each platform excels in its own domain by making very different choices. The console is built for the couch, the PC is built for the desk, and the portable device is built for everywhere in between. Each one offers a completely different promise to both the player and the creator. So here's the crucial takeaway. While the lines are definitely blurring, you can play online games on a console or plug a controller into your PC, that fundamental context of how and where you play still defines the gaming experience. The DNA of each platform is still really, really powerful. And this all leads to the big question: what's next? As all our devices get more powerful and more connected, what is the next great gaming platform going to look like? Will it live in the living room, on a desk, or in our pocket? Or will it be something entirely new that combines them all? The answer, whatever it is going to define the next generation of games.